Hey everyone, Namaste and welcome to this evening's very special conversation with Vani Nethiar on Naada Yoga. So, those of you who are already here and listening in, please say hi so that we know that you're here and just post some comments, write some questions, and let's make this as interactive as possible. So, my name is Shailaja Menon, and I began my yoga journey about 20 years ago in Coimbatore with integral yoga. And then when I came to Malaysia, I continued with my teacher Manoj Kaimal. Now I run my own yoga studio, Mat and Beyond Yoga Studio. I also became an author along the way with my book Yoga Shakti, published in 2018. And a new dimension has recently been added in my life when I'm going to be teaching yoga show called Yoga Shakti actually on Anand TV, which will be broadcast to audiences in UK, in Europe, Canada, North America. So as you can see, the yoga practice has really shaped much of my life. And I would just like to add that all these conversations are available both on my Facebook page as well as Vani's Facebook page. And in future also, it will be available on my YouTube. So using this opportunity to ask you all to please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I have Kaustubh there who's already saying hi. Awesome to see you. Awesome to see you too, Kaustubh. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce Vani Nethiar, who is not just, as you can see, a very beautiful and a brilliant and talented artist, but also happens to be a very dear friend. And more than that, a wonderful human being. But I have to take this opportunity to say that more than Vani, I think I'm a bigger fan of her parents. And I want to use this platform to really express my gratitude to Vani's parents. I will be introducing them shortly. And they're really some of the most exceptional human beings that I've had the grace to meet. And they have a special mention because they have always supported my yoga journey. Yeah, so I'm eternally grateful to Vani's parents. And so let me just get started with the official introduction of Vani. Born into a family of musicians and dancers, Vani was initiated to the world of Carnatic music at the tender age of 4 by her mother, the Sangeet Nataka Academy Award winning Carnatic vocalist from Kerala, Srimati Sukumar Narendra Menon. And I really hope she's right here now listening to this. Her father, Advocate P.T. Narendra Menon, a Sahitya Academy award winning Malayalam poet and a lawyer by profession, instilled in Vani a lifelong love for Hindustani and devotional music as well as literature. Vani was trained in Carnatic music by Chembei Kodanda Rama Bhagavatar, a disciple of Sri Chembei Vaidyanatha Bhagavatar. Later, she also received training in Hindustani music from one of the most renowned musicians from Mewati Gharana, Pandit Ramesh Narayan, a disciple of Pandit Jasraj. Vani had an early start and gave her very first concert in Doordarshan Thiruvananthapuram at the age of 12. So Vani told me several times not to speak so much about her and really just get on with the show. But I'm just really taking this opportunity to say a few things about her because actually only when I read her profile, I came to know about so many dimensions of her. So just bear with me for a few more minutes. I really want to do this. So some of her most memorable performances with her mother were at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in front of a distinguished guest list of the then President of India, Sri K.R. Narayanan, parliamentarians and national level artists. At the Ramnagar Fort, the royal palace of the King of Benares, Surya Festival Thiruvananthapuram, Swati Festival New Delhi, the Kudira Maliga Palace Trivandrum, and the Madras Music Academy Chennai. Vani has contributed her voice to 8 music albums, including Hindu and Christian devotional songs. Vani and her mother also conceived, compered, and sang in a 13-episode music program called Ragasagaram for Surya TV in 1999. Her other accomplishments, so these were the ones I was most interested in elaborating on, include acting in a 50-episode serial for the Asianet named Orma Kallude Virunna in her college days. She also acted in three documentaries, Onam, Vishu, and Mandravadam for Delhi, Doordarshan Delhi, and Asianet. Vani also pursues a career in education, though you may all be, by now you all probably thought that, music was her career. I think this comes from, as a gift from her father, her very academic, scholarly father. So she has a postgraduate degree in English language and literature from the University of Calicut and a CELTA diploma from the University of Cambridge. She has worked in prestigious institutions like NSS College, Ottapalam, Kerala, the Sri Ram School, New Delhi, in Indian language school, Lagos, Nigeria, and she currently works as a coordinator of English literature at the Department of A Levels at Help University, Kuala Lumpur. And that's not all. Vani also believes in a toxin free natural life. And to promote this message, she runs a page called Centered Life on Facebook and Instagram. So, guys, please check that out. And please, of course, like and subscribe, all of them. So, that's the general introduction on Vani. And I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let her continue. So, she's going to start off because we are just past Navratri. Actually, this was something that I specifically asked her to, start with a Devi bhajan. So, Vani, the stage is yours, whatever is the stage.
Thank you so much, Shaili, for that beautiful, wonderful, introduction. And look who's talking. If I started reading out your, accomplishments, there would be no end. I mean, you have become an institution right here in Kuala Lumpur, and spreading the message of yoga to everyone. I have attended your classes, and it was a beautiful experience.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very, very indebted to you and your parents for all the support that they have shown me over the years.
Thank you, Shaili. So I'll begin with a Devi Kirtanam. Um, it's a Raga Malika. Shri Chakraraj Simhasaneshwari Shri Lalita Bhuvaneshwari Shri Chakraraj Simhasaneshwari Shri Lalita Bhuvaneshwari आगम वेद कलामय रूपिणी अखिल चराचर जननी नारायणी नाग कंकण नटराज मनोहरी ज्ञान विद्येश्वरी राजराजेश्वरी श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी ललिताम्बिकै பலவிதமாயுன்னை ஆடவும் பாடவும் பலவிதமாயுன்னை ஆடவும் பாடவும் பாடிக்கொண்டாடும் அன்பர் பதமலர் சூடாவும் உலகம் முழுந்தும் முல்லை அகமுற காணாவும் ஒரு நிலை தருவான் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி ஒரு நிலை தருவான் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ சக்கரராஜ சிம்ஹாசனேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ லலிதாம்பிகை உழுந்து திரிந்த என்னை உத்தமனாக்கி வைத்தார் உழுந்து திரிந்து என்னை உத்தமனாக்கி வைத்தாய். உயரிய பெரியோருடன் ஒன்றிட கூட்டி வைத்தாய். நிழலன தொடர்ந்து முன்னுள் கொடுமை நீக்க செய்தாய். நித்ய கல்யாணி भावानी पद्मेश्वरी, नित्य कल्याणी भावानी पद्मेश्वरी, श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी, श्री ललितांबिकये. துன்பக்குடத்திலிட்டு தூயவனாக்கி வைத்தாய். துன்பக்குடத்திலிட்டு தூயவனாக்கி வைத்தாய். தொடர்ந்த உன் மாயம் நீக்கி பிறந்த பயனை தந்தாய். அன்பு புகழ்த்தி உந்தன் ஆடலை காண செய்தான். அன்பு புகழ்த்தி உந்தன் ஆடலை காண செய்தான். அடைக்கலம் நீயே அம்மா அகிலாண்டேஸ்வரி, श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी, श्री ललितांबिकये. भुवनेश्वरी, आगम वेद कलामय रूपिणी, अखिल चराचर जननी नारायणी, नाग कंकण नटराज मनोहरी, ज्ञान विद्येश्वरी, राजराजेश्वरी, श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी, श्री ललितांबिकये. श्री ललितांबिकये.
Thank you so much, Vani. That was completely and absolutely divine. Don't you guys agree? Some comments, please. So, before we go on to the next question, I just want to say hi to all the people who have showed up here. So there's Das Uncle. Hello, Uncle. Nice to see you here. And our common cousin, Karthi Chechi. So she says, lovely to see you, Shaili and Vani, and looking forward to the program. My love and blessings. Lovely to see you here, Karthi Chechi. And let me tell you, Vani, I have not seen Karthi Chechi on any of my programs. This is the first. So she's here because of you.
It's an honor. Thank you, Karthi, for being there.
Yeah, and then I have Tanuja there and Dr. Ananda. Always wonderful to have him here. And there's so many people, my brother-in-law, Babutan, a lot of family around, my cousin Prakash. So wonderful to see all of you here. My aunts, as always, there's my Cherima from Coimbatore. So Smita there. I think Smita's daughter is Vani's, one of her most prominent disciples. And yeah, so there's
She's my senior disciple in Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah. So hi Smita, wonderful to see you there. So the first question is really, let's start at the very beginning, and just give us some idea about what it was to grow up like with such a accomplished and famous singer as a mother, and having such an again award-winning literary scholar for a father. I mean, truly blessed with all of this. So how was it growing up?
Shaili, I have to begin with this. I had an extraordinary childhood, needless to say. My house was, in Malaysia, we call it open house. So it was like an open house all through the year.
Open house.
Lots of visitors, including artists, painters, poets, politicians, a variety of personalities. Achan, my father, he's a lawyer and a writer. So, of course, he would have his clients over, and Amma's music students, gurus, then, of course, our relatives. And many of them would stay over for many days together. My parents expected me to participate in all their conversations. Also, they took me to all their programs, poetry recital events, for example, music performances, cultural events, seminars. I think I must have started going with them ever since I was born. I think that's what I think. This was compulsory, and I was given complete freedom to express my thoughts and do what I liked. Mm, Parents were and are still my best friends. I mean, I can proudly say that. I could discuss anything and everything with them. I still can. Nothing was hidden from me when I was a child. Every matter of the household was discussed. Eventually, all my friends became their best friends as well. So this was wonderful.
Also.
Yeah, and then music and literature were a huge part of our lives, of course. My father insisted only on two things. That there were only two rules. One was that I should read books on a regular basis. The second rule was to practice my music regularly. There was no compromise on these two things. For him, my school grades didn't matter at all, I must say that. But he used to keenly observe how I absorbed and responded to life around me, to all the conversations that I heard around me. And then we would have a conversation based on that. Attending school was, frankly speaking, secondary at home. Invariably, some program or the other, like Madurai Sheshagopalan's concert or Dr. Balamurli Krishna's concert, something or the other would be held. This is Murphy's Law, just one day before my exams. And you will not believe it. I was expected to attend all of these concerts. It didn't matter whether I was writing my post graduation final exam or not, I had to attend these concerts. My father used to say, exams will come and go, but the experience of watching a revered master's concert is a rare opportunity and you should never miss it. See, those were not the days of YouTube or online listening. So obviously, these were rare opportunities, and he never allowed me to miss it. Um, so he used to say, you prepare everything well beforehand for the exams, so you can attend these concerts because you're going to learn a lot from these concerts. And the same applied for any seminars that my mum had or my father's poetry recitals. It was all the same. I just had to attend it, and I enjoyed every bit of it. I didn't consider it a very something that was imposed upon me. I didn't find it that way. Maybe because they were always around me all the time. So this is my childhood. This was my childhood.
No, wonderful. And it's so wonderfully refreshing also to hear such a different set of priorities, right? I mean, I think that is what is most striking, that, for your parents, like music, literature, that was a priority and everything else just came after that. And
Yeah.
obviously, looking at you, you're the product of that. So fast of self that listening to a master live is not equal to something on YouTube. Okay, well said.
No, no,
Agree.
not at all. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So, what age were you introduced to music, and can you share something about your earliest memories?
Um, Look, Shaili, I can't really remember. Maybe I was 4 when I started my musical training informally. I don't remember a formal ceremony. On Vijayadashmi day, when I started learning the Saptaswaras from my mother, I don't remember. I think I just seamlessly floated in one of the beginners group classes. I think so. I can't remember. My earliest memory, I think attending Amma's concerts. That would be when I knew that I wanted to become a singer. I mean, I was really small and I used to sit behind her on stage.
So I think I've been, talking to a lot of people, even, like our very famous yoga masters who are also here listening at this point, who also came from this kind of a background with parents. And I think one of them, I think it was Dr. Ananda, who said that he learned through osmosis. So I think just being around your mother, or just being around your parents who spoke this and lived this, I think in so many ways you're just living and breathing it. Like you say, you don't really remember a formal time, but it was
No.
probably, it's just so way back, right? I mean, even when your mother was probably expecting you, you were already learning, right? So
Yes.
it's just really way back. And who, just talking about, for artists, always the gurus are so important, right? So who are your gurus and what would you want to say about them?
Um, I was trained by my mother, Sukumari Narendra Menon, from very early on, as we mentioned before. Um, and Amma's training was very rigorous at that time. She wouldn't compromise on anything. They were always group classes. I don't remember Amma giving me any kind of individual lessons because she always believed in group chemistry. She always thought that we would learn from one another. And but why I said she wouldn't compromise on anything is, whether we missed our practice or not. I mean, she did not like that at all. So whether it was practice, the quality of our singing, lyrics, voice culture, and finally our behavior, everything was very closely monitored and watched during the music classes and outside of the music classes. um, Later, because my pitch was higher than Amma's, my father decided that I should have a male teacher, because Amma would always say that you should never change your by natural voice, the voice that you're born with, because biologically your voice will automatically come down, may or may not, but it may come down with age. So if you are a very high pitched person, then retain that natural pitch as much as possible. I'm going back to Amma actually. She taught me that learning music was not just an acrobatic endeavor. You know, she always made sure that we allowed the music that we worshipped and practiced to bring about very positive changes in our behavior and our understanding of the world. So we had to look at the world with musical eyes. That was the catch. And
That's what I'm hearing.
it comes from a very long tradition, by the way. In India, musical training is a spiritual package. It is not like you attend music classes, you pay the fee to the teacher and do whatever you like. After the class, you forget. No, it's never like that. The guru and the shishya would have to develop or would develop a very deep rooted bond. It's almost like a parent student, parent child relationship, or perhaps even deeper than that. The guru has every right to mold the student's personality and correct his or her mistakes, whether it is to do with music or in their daily lives. So this was my mother. This was the kind of guru my mother was. Coming to my second guru, Chembe Kodandrama Bhagavatar, he was this grandfather like teacher. He was a very kind, compassionate person. And perhaps he knew that I had learned a lot from Amma. He taught me for about 8 to 10 years, I think 8 years. And he taught all his lessons with so much of love and understanding. Um, when I became interested in Hindustani music, I received training from Pandit Ramesh Narayan. Pandit Ramesh Narayan is a disciple of Sangeet Martand Pandit Jasraj. His lessons, it'll be very interesting for everyone to know here. We used to have day long lessons. So weekends were our lesson days. And we would start at 8 o'clock in the morning and we would go very easily until 5 o'clock in the evening. We were given a short break for lunch, but that's all. Uh, Rameshji used to forget that he was teaching us sometimes. He would go into this musical trance and he would just continue singing. He would forget that he was teaching us. He would just go on. If he developed a ragam, that would go on for like hours together. So this was great training for me because I was listening to again a master live in every single music class. This was great training. His love for his guru was extraordinary, and he made sure that we understood the importance of tradition and the spirituality that is behind the music we were learning. And I think for this I am forever indebted to him. Charan Sparsh Guruji. Yeah. So those were my three gurus.
Yeah, wonderful. Just like you say, I think there is no substitute for like though a lot of our lives are online now, and a lot of learning happens via YouTube. I think that a personal relationship and experience, that one-to-one experience, like even if it's a group class, I think nothing can take the beauty away from that.
Yes.
So Kaustubh just said something very interesting, that he says in traditional kalas, the teaching starts way before we are born and it flows through our ancestors.
Yes.
And Ignatius' uncle says, wonderful to hear about your childhood and encouragement you received through your parents. My cousin Lakshmi here says, did you go through anxiety attacks despite
Not
having parents?
Absolutely not. Maybe because they were always with me, They gave me, I never thought that I was different from them. At the same time, they developed my independent personality. They allowed me to speak out anything and everything that I liked and I thought. So I didn't find it um, you know no, no, not at all. It was certainly, there were no anxiety attacks. Singing in front of an audience sometimes gave me a lot of stress, but of course teachers always make sure that students are given that kind of experience, and there are lots and lots of tricks, and there are lots and lots of steps that you need to watch, you need to learn, and that is also conveyed and taught by the teacher. So every passing stage concert was also a learning experience. It was like that, whether even if it is just one song. Sometimes I had huge problem remembering lyrics of songs, which I still have, because I would go into the meaning of the songs and I would forget the actual lyrics. So that's been my problem forever. So I was always, when in school and all, when I attended competitions and all that, we were not allowed to look into the paper. So that was a huge, huge problem for me, for which, again, Amma taught me a lot of tricks. So with age, that also vanished. But I should say they were always with me. Wherever they went, I went. And I enjoyed it because I loved meeting people. I liked observing people. There were many kinds of people. The world is a beautiful place if you actually observe it. Lovely, lovely people, and you can learn a lot from them, from their mistakes. Also, we can learn from our mistakes. We can learn. So I think they gave me that kind of a training. So I enjoyed my childhood.
Wonderful. So, Dr. Ananda says Guru Shishya Sampradaya is the only way to have these amazing experiences. And my cousin Amrita says, lovely young woman. Okay, that's just a lot of things about us. So, we just go on to the next question. What makes Indian classical music so unique among all the other varieties of music in the world? Like, and talk about a little bit about the topic for today, Nada Yoga, and just elaborate a little bit on that.
Yes. So I'm going to first talk about what is Nada Yoga. Um, the origin of this universe, as many of us already know, is often attributed to Nada Brahma, or the primeval sound energy. Uh, Today, modern science also says the same when it talks about the Big Bang theory. They agree with this ancient Indian discovery. What is Nada? Nada means sound, or river, or stream. And what is yoga? Yoga means union. So Nada Yoga is basically the union of uh, sound. This is an internal sound stream we are talking about. This flows typically during meditation. And Nada Yoga dates back to Rig Veda. To be precise, in the Nada Bindu Upanishad. Um, this text describes how one can meditate on the nadam, the inner sacred sound. In the 15th century, there was a treatise written. It is called Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Many of you will know about it. The fourth chapter of this particular book is on Nada Yoga. So Nada Yoga is based on the premise that the entire cosmos and everything in it consists of nadam, or sound vibrations. You know, all the planets move through space, all the time vibrating in millions of different frequencies. All of us, from the cellular to the subatomic levels, are vibrating, whether we're talking about our heartbeat or anything. So this is what we call universal consciousness. Now, Coming to sound. Sound is of two varieties. One is the anahata sound, one is the ahata sound. Anahata meaning something that is internal. Ahata meaning something that can be heard or external. What we can hear falls between 20 to 20,000 hertz. Beyond this, we can't hear. This is ahatanadam. What does not fit into this frame of reference is the anahatanadam. So, according to Nada yogis, with a very focused mind by controlling breath, focusing on external sounds, allows the mind to become so quiet that the practitioner can listen to their own anahata sound. This stream is running in all of us. We just have to be quiet and look inward and listen. That's all. So, Nada Yoga is described in the Hatha Yoga Pratipika as the easiest and the most powerful and the most fruitful meditation techniques to calm the mind. Now, using music and sounds to connect to a very high consciousness is a very common practice in our spiritual traditions. If you look at it, many of our deities, for example, many of our deities are musicians. Krishna plays the flute, Saraswati plays the veena, Shiva dances his tandava playing the damaru, Nandi plays the mridangam, uh, Narada's instrument is tamburu. So this is inherent in us. Samaveda is considered to be the origin of Indian music. There were three notes. Ni, sa, re. From these three notes, four other notes evolved in time, making the Saptaswaras. Saptaswara meaning the seven notes. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni. Now, our great yogic masters expanded these seven notes to 22 specific notes. These notes were developed in such a way, keeping the effect of their frequencies in mind. Imagine from this 20 to 20,000 hertz for them to pick up these 22 specific notes. Imagine, their spiritual powers, I would say, or yogic powers. So, Indian music is based on this system of ragas. It is raga. So, that is the very soul of Indian music. What is raga? Raga is a tonal set constituting a melody, simply put. Specific notes in each raga are placed in various different orders. At times, some notes are omitted. Well, that's a different world altogether. If I start, I'll not stop. So, this results in each raga creating a different vibration in the listener. When vibrations differ, the moods also differ. So, some ragas might give us peace, some ragas give us joy, sometimes sadness, sometimes a kind of intense emotion which we cannot describe. It is in us, but we cannot really describe it. Sometimes it makes us somber, sometimes blissful. For example, I'd like you to listen to this tiny little example of a raga. And not in any particular style, I'm just giving you the basic notes. But for this, I'd like you to just close your eyes if you can as you listen and maybe tell me the emotion that you felt. Okay, so we are going. Okay, so this is one ragam. Now I'm going to contrast it. I shouldn't have used that word, but I'm going to sing one more ragam. Okay, all right. So Okay.
So I'm just seeing if
You want to
anybody had
start?
any
What did
comments
you
to
feel
put.
with the first ragam? What did you feel? What emotion did you feel? Happiness, sadness,
Vani,
joy?
I'm bliss when I hear you. I could just listen to those ragas forever, whatever they were. So I would say that the first was slightly more, upbeat, or
Yes.
and the second was a little bit more expressing some poignancy or some sadness or something.
Yes, yes. Second ragam is certainly a little bit of grief. You said it right. And the first ragam definitely is a joyful ragam. It's a ragam called Mohanam or Bhoop, and the second ragam is a ragam called Ahir Bhairav. So these two ragams, if you saw, these two ragams gave two different emotions. I did not use any lyrics. I only sang using the sound sa. So what brought about these emotions? Now, this is the key essence of Indian music. Gamakas. What are gamakas? Gamakas are unique to Indian music. These are the oscillations created on each note. Let's take this example. I'm going to give you a tiny little example. Sari sari gama padhani sa. Okay, these are the basic skeletal structure of a ragam called Shankara Bharanam. You can call it Do Re Mi Fa So La Ti as well. Now, there is a world that lies between sa and re and ga when we use this in Indian music. In Carnatic music, sa re ga ma pa pa dha ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. So this is Shankara Bharanam. If you sang sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, that is not Shankara Bharanam. That is only the basic skeletal structure of Shankara Bharanam ragam. Okay, so what happened between sa and re and ga? You heard some oscillations, some waves. Sa re wouldn't stand at its own place. It would go to ga and come back. Sa re ga re. So it goes to ga and it comes back. These are gamakams, and what happens between two notes, that is what makes music in Indian classical music. Gamakams are what creates these emotions, and otherwise any ragam would just be a skeletal structure. So when a ragam is sung, the listener connects with it, and the emotion that is produced by that ragam helps purge the listener's emotions. So there is a cathartic effect. The Rasa Siddhanta of Bharata Muni, who, when he wrote his Natya Shastra in the 2nd century BC, he spoke about the Rasa Siddhanta. What is that? It is bringing about that cathartic effect. So the great masters say that uh, our body is a tantra. It is called Sharira Veena. Our music is a mantra, and our ragas are the yantra. So this is in essence Nada Yoga. The way we learn classical music in India is also based on a strict yogic system. First of all, we are required to keep a very steady posture. The sound or the pranavayu travels from the Muladhara chakra. It crosses all the other chakras and it has to reach the Sahasrara. This is what we strive to do. Okay, in our thoughts, this is what we strive to do. Uh, for this, I think we need lifetime of practice, many lifetimes. I think so.
Many
We use
lives.
yeah, we use the diaphragmatic breath for singing. No other breath. There is nothing called your head voice or throat voice. No, we are supposed to use only the diaphragmatic voice. We are not allowed to go to falsetto, unlike music anywhere else in the world. A singer should be able to touch minimum 2.5 to about 3 octaves in his or her natural voice. We are expected to practice consistently like a yogi. In olden days, there was this practice called chilla, uh, where the disciple was supposed to stay inside a room for months together with very little light and very few amenities and devote most of his waking hours to practicing music. So we're looking at about 18 to 19 hours of practicing music. The person doesn't see anybody, doesn't even see much light. Pandit Ravi Shankar, Ustad Bismillah Khan, all of them have done it, it seems, this chilla practice. This is like a yogic practice in caves that we know about. In books like Sangita Kalpadrumam by Muttaya Bhagavatar, a very, very detailed explanation is given on how each note helps open our 7 chakras. Uh, Sharangadeva also talks about it. When we learn classical music, much importance is given to the control of breath. For example, the Shadja Sadhana. Shadja Sadhana meaning singing sa for a very, very long time. It's almost like Shaili, you taught us vrikshasana, right? So you said when we do vrikshasana, you have to have a one pointed attention. Look at one point, and your posture won't move, right? You won't move. It's almost like that. Singing sa is also like vrikshasana. The moment our mind wanders, the voice also shakes. Anybody can try this and see. So one has to focus on the center of the forehead and sustain the voice as long as one can. The target is to bring the brain, the breath, and the voice all in one line. What is this? This is nothing but meditation, isn't it? Nada aradhana or nadhanusandhana. When we finally accomplish this, we can hear the internal universal music that is in us. So the control of breath is everything. So this is I haven't even started, but this is Nada Yoga in very simple terms. Yeah.
I'm sure you're enlightening a lot of us, a lot of yogis around also. So very interesting conversation for everybody to see the connection between yoga, all the different elements of yoga actually, pranayama, chakras, all of it coming up in music as well. So we were just talking about bhajans of saints like Mirabai, Surdas, Tulsidas. Were they also like considered to be Nada yogis?
Absolutely. Our composers were not just composers; they were saint composers.
True.
They were yogis. The period between the 8th century to the 19th century was so full of rich and divine music in India. In India, once upon a time, music was never treated as entertainment. It used to be performed only in temples for spiritual purposes. However, after the many foreign invasions from the 11th century onwards, slowly music was taken to the courts of kings and the public. It'll be very interesting for you to hear the story. Many of you would have heard it. My students have certainly heard it many times from me. Mia Tansen, he was the court musician of Akbar, the Mughal ruler. So Akbar was a great fan of Tansen. So he used to always make Tansen sing. Tansen used to sing Drupad music. And once in his musical bliss, Akbar asked Tansen, uh, Tansen, your music is great, needless to say. But you must have been trained by your guru. Who is your guru? I can't imagine what his music would be. So Tansen said, my guru is Swami Haridas. Akbar said, okay, bring him to the court. I want to see him. I want to hear his music. Let's organize a concert. Tansen said, no, 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 I can't do that because Swami Haridas is a saint. He's in the forest. He will not come and perform in front of you. Akbar's ego just shot up. He said, how dare a citizen of in my court says this. I will make sure that Haridas is brought to my court. Akbar sends a few messengers. Haridas doesn't budge. Later, Akbar goes with his army just to threaten Haridas. And when he goes there, Akbar and Tansen, of course, went there incognito. So there was a small group of people around Swami Haridas, and he was singing one of his most beautiful compositions. And Akbar just forgot everything else. He just he was spellbound. He forgot everything. He went and fell in front of Swami Haridas, touched his feet, and he couldn't speak anything. On his way back, Akbar asked Tansen, "What is it that makes your guru's music so divine? This is coming from another world. Why is it like that?" So Tansen gave a very simple answer. Tansen said, you know, Jahapana, I sing for mere mortals. I sing to make money, or I sing to become famous. I'm singing in front of you. I want to win competitions. Whereas my guru sings only to, sees music only as Nada Yoga. It is his path of meditation. It is to realize the absolute, the ultimate that he sings. So his music, through his music, this is what he does. So this is a brilliant story that is documented as well. This again shows the deep connection of spirituality uh, and our classical music. Not only Swami Haridas or Tansen, uh, Mirabai, Surdas, Tulasidas, Kabirdas, Sant Tukaram, Purandradas, Sadashiva Brahmendra, Annamacharya in the south. We have so many of these saint composers. They were all Nada yogis. I can just give you an idea of some of their songs. For example, mm, this I can give you an example of an abhang by say just a little bit. Mm, mm, mm. वृक्षवल्ली आम्हासूयरी वनचरी वृक्षवल्ली आम्हासूयरी वनचरी पक्षी हे सुस्वरी आळवीती वृक्षवल्ली आम्हासूयरी वनचरी हरिकथा भोजन परवडी विस्तार करुणी प्रकार सेवो रुची तुका म्हणे होय मनासी संवाद तुका म्हणे होय मनासी संवाद आपुलाची वाद आपणासी वृक्षवल्ली आम्हासूयरी वनचरी वृक्षवल्ली. So in this, the Sant Tukaram says, I want to sing in the isolation and in the quietness, solitude of a forest. I can see the I can s- I want to sing in front of the skies. Um I want the earth to be my witness. And what am I singing? I am singing nothing but Harikatha. I'm eating. I'm enjoying the bliss of Hari. Okay, and this is something, and this is the time when I can start speaking with myself. And when I start speaking with myself, I can understand the absolute as well, because after a point of time, all conversation stops. So this is Sant Tukaram's Abhang. Um, you must have heard this Bhadrachala Ramadas famous composition. हे तिरुगननु दयचूचिदवो इनवंशोत्तम रामा नातरमा भवसागरमीदनु नलिनदळे क्षणरामा. So here the Bhadrachala Ramadas says, this entire universe is the Bhavasagaram. The only boat, the only way that I can cross this Bhavasagaram is taking Rama's name. Uh, yes, so all of these are great saint composers. And of course, then you have Guru Nanak. Fantastic bhajans we have of him. सुमिरन कर ले मेरे मना तेरी बीती उमर हरि नाम बिना रे सुमिरन कर ले. So again, he talks about, let us always remember the name of God. Let us always remember the Almighty. Mirabai. पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो वस्तु अमोलिक दी मेरे सतगुरु कृपा कर अपनायो पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो जी मैंने. So she says, I've got a gem here. I've got a treasure, a gem. That is the name of Rama. And this is an Amulya Ratna for me. And always please bless me. So, and then we move on to the south. You know, we have the saint composers, we call in Carnatic music, we call them the Trinity. Tyagaraja, Dikshitar, Shyamashastri. All of them, especially Dikshitar, especially brought a lot of tantric teachings. Tyagaraja brought in a lot of Upanishadic truths in his songs. There is one kirtanam particularly of Tyagaraja. It is नादा तनुमनिशं शङ्करं नादा तनुमनिशं शङ्करं नमामि मे मनसा शिरसा नाद तनुमनिशं. So in this song, he says, may my mind always and head always surrender in front of Shiva. Shiva is the embodiment of Nada. It goes on to the Charanam after the Anupallavi. Sadyo jatadi panchavatraja sarigama padhani varasapta swara vidyalolam vidalita kalam vimala hridaya tyagarajapalam. So what does this mean? He says, I am surrendering in front of that Shiva, the same Shiva who delights in the 7 musical notes, notes that are born of his 5 faces: the Sadyojata, Tat Purusha, Aghora, Ishana, and Vamadeva. and he's also the destroyer of Kala, time. I'm surrendering in front of this Shiva. All of these great saint composers knew the time of their deaths, the Trinity. They called their disciples, their students around them, and they said, all of them said, "We are going to leave this mortal coil." And then they also created their Charama Kirtanams. Um, for them to know the time of their death, only yogis usually know this. So for them, music was nothing but Nada Yoga. So I think this is what our brilliant tradition is all about. This is you know, what we see in our music.
Beautiful one, really beautiful. And I'm sure, I mean, all those who have tuned in are really having such a great treat, not just, in terms of listening, but, in terms of knowledge and understanding of our Indian classical music on such a deeper level. Yeah, so a lot of compliments coming in for you. Dr. Ananda says you have been blessed by Mother Saraswati herself. I think that's really a very high compliment. And so many people you have, your family here, Manu, who says lovely singing bhajan. So a lot of people here, a lot of compliments. I'm sure you can look at all this later on.
Later, yeah.
And I'm just going to go ahead because we'll be running short of time. So I don't want the session to end without a full bhajan. So I'm going to ask Vani as a special request to sing us a Tulsi Das bhajan.
Thank you. My favorite as well. Okay. Mm. ममता ममता तू ना गई मेरे मन ते तू ना गई मेरे मन ते. So this song means it is very hard for us to let go of our attachments and our expectations. Even if I have become very old and weak, even when my eyesight has weakened, my feet tired, my teeth gone, my face having lost its shine, the attachment that is in me still is not leaving me. It is very much present. We expect rewards for all our bhakti towards God when we chant a prayer, when we do prayers. We are expecting rewards. We expect all the time. Is there any end to this? In order to surpass this veil of Maya, what can I do? So, in his height of desperation, he he this is what the lyrics of the song is all about. ममता ममता तू ना गई मेरे मन ते तू ना गई मेरे मन ते श्रवण वचन ना सुनत काहू के, बल गई सब इंद्रिन ते। टूटे न सन वचन नहीं आवत, शोभा गई मुख करते। ममता ममता तू ना गई मेरे मन ते। कभ पितवात कंठ पर बैठे, सुत ही बुलावत करते। भाई बंधु सब परम प्यारे, नारी निकारत धरते। ममता ममता तू ना गई मेरे मन ते। जैसे शशि मंडल बिच स्याही, झूठ न कोटि जतन से। तुलसीदास बलि जाओ चरण ले, तुलसीदास बलि जाओ चरण ते। लोभ पराये धन तेरे, ममता ममता तू ना गई मेरे मन ते। तू ना गई मेरे मन ते। तू ना गई मेरे मन ते।
So beautiful, Vani. So beautiful. And I'm going to say what Karti Chechi has said. She says that you made us transcend to another level with your singing, Vani Kuti. So, I mean, I really think that, second that, third that, everything. Awesome.
Thank you
Really
so
beautiful.
much.
Really
It's just my guru's blessings and Ma Saraswati's.
very, very beautiful. So I'm going to come to the last of our questions because we're already over an hour now. Just maybe we just talk about how can we practice, for those of us listening who are completely inspired by, everything that you have said. How can one practice Nada Yoga in our busy everyday lives? And are there some specific techniques or are there some specific methods for beginners?
Okay. Like the many parts of meditation that we know and we do not know about, Nada Yoga has also a lot of methods and stages. I am still learning. I don't think I've reached anywhere. This method that I am going to suggest is just for the beginners. First, you must find a very quiet corner, typically early in the morning when nobody disturbs you and the energies of the uh, and the universe around you are also very pure. Take some very deep breaths. Listen to all the sounds around. Every timber, the volume, the texture, all of it. In the morning, when I sit for my meditation, what I first hear is the melodious sound of the many birds in my balcony. They come in so many different scales and rhythms. So when a thought comes, observe it, be aware of it, and let go, like how you normally do in your meditation, and focus back onto the sounds. Now it is time for you to play your tanpura. The tanpura is the four-stringed drone instrument that you heard when I was singing. If you do not have a tanpura, you can easily download it. There is electronic tanpura as well. There are four strings in a tanpura, five strings as well, but play fourth strings. This is the so this pitch instrument gives you that tuning in. You have to focus on the four strings of the tanpura. Initially, you will not realize that there are four strings. Even when I sit and teach my students, I ask them to listen, and they in the beginning they just can't tell the difference. among the four strings. But when they close their eyes and they listen to it for about 5 to 10 minutes, then they slowly understand, oh, yes, there are four notes, four strings. So, slowly, as your attention becomes stronger, you will be able to distinguish these four strings separately. Now, slowly begin your humming practice. Humming is, yoga practitioners will know, Brahmari practice. So it is like Brahmari practice, except you don't do this, you just hum. Then graduate to your Shadja Sadhana. Shadja Sadhana, as I earlier mentioned, is the singing of Sa. It's the first, Sa is supposed to be the mother of all other notes. Sa Shadjam. Shadjam meaning something that gives birth to the other six notes. So that is the Adhar Swar. So you have to focus on that. It is also the first sound of the Omkaram. Make sure that your voice is unwavering. Like when you do meditation, you have to focus on your breath, and the breath has to be steady. It should not be forced. It should be absolutely steady. If you are a singer, then you can begin developing a raga slowly, gently. Or if you're not a singer, play your favorite raga, sung or played by a master. Then focus your attention on the undulating flow of these notes. It'll take some time for you to get mastery over your attention, but be consistent. Every day, same place, same time, same method. That is going to give you that kind of habit. Slowly and steadily, you will feel completely one with the sound, and the raga is flowing beautifully through your body. You will not be able to understand that the difference between you and the singer, you and the notes. You will just go into that meditation. So, this is one way of practicing Nada Yoga.
Very beautiful, Vani. Really, really beautiful. I really hope all of us will, take some notes from this and, really incorporate that into our life, because even in yoga, they actually talk about this nada as being one of the most effective ways to de-stress.
Mm.
Like, so Brahmari is always recommended, as well as the pranama pranayama, which is the om. These
Yeah.
are two highly recommended practices to really calm the system down, soothe the system,
Yes.
and it's wonderful to hear you say the same things. So a lot of compliments coming. There's Babutan there, my brother-in-law, and your cousin as well, and a lot of people really, really love this program. So you really lit up my conversation here, Vani. So thank you so much for that.
Thank
And
you.
just one question with regard to this, like you also mentioned it just now, that if you're not a singer, then you can listen to some composition. So, does listening on YouTube help, or, how effective is it versus, like, I mean, I'm sure live singer must be always the better option, right? But if you don't happen to be, all of us are not blessed by Ma Saraswati, then what happens?
No, even I do not get to listen to live singers all the time. So, okay, so live sessions are certainly, as you said, much more desirable than recorded music, no doubt. This is because one hears the voice unfiltered. Your voice is not filtered by a machine, or the singer's voice is not filtered by a machine. So the frequencies don't have any difference, change. Voice, you listen to the voice in its purest and raw form. But anyway, this is not a practical approach, as we all know. In our day to day life, it is impossible. So we have no choice but to get the help of recorded music. I recently collaborated with a dear friend of mine, Eri Tajima. She is a Japanese crystal sound healer. And So she played her crystals, and I sang a few ragams, just nothing else, and a few mantras. So we collaborated on a few sound healing sessions. We had a very select audience with us, who were experiencing this. I experienced firsthand when I was singing, that the music that comes naturally and directly, and we made sure that we did not use a microphone. Um, when the music comes directly and naturally, it has a lot of power over us, rather than recorded music. But again, since it's a very impractical solution, we have no choice but to listen to recorded music. But if you get a chance, certainly listen to live music, or else You don't have to be a singer to be able to, you don't have to be an accomplished singer to be able to sing ah. You can always do that. Or just take up any of the mantras that you like, any syllables, any mantras that you like. Sing it in various scales. Listen to your own voice. And I'm sure that is going to give you a lot of solace as well. Because, singing, music is, our voice is our most personal form of expression. And when we give it out, when it comes out of our body, we forget who we are. I think that is the power of music. You can certainly listening to YouTube in that is the next best solution. So no choice.
Okay, so thank you so much, Vani. I'm going to end this really wonderful session that I really don't want to end, but we have to end with this comment from my cousin Lakshmi, who says, such a beautiful session and a treat for music lovers. So I'm
Thank
sure every single person here, we have Dr. Suresh here, I think from Ottapalam, I think there's somebody that you know. So
Yes,
we have a lot of people here who have completely enjoyed your session. And really, Vani, thank you for sharing not just your music, but your wisdom. I think that's what we're all going to take away from here. That we're, of course, we're all in raptures over your voice, but I think your wisdom is really a treat. And it's really wonderful to hear you really expressing the authentic soul of music, because I think that's like in yoga also we have all these about how yoga has just become exercise. And there's one part of traditional yoga where people are still trying to maintain the spirit of the yoga practice through the philosophy. So I think in many ways you're doing the same thing, as in music is not just about singing was not for entertainment, but it was really about your connection to the universe. And I think it's that individual soul's expression through which it connects to the universe. So it's wonderful to see you doing this in your own way, in your own field, and just keep going. That's all I will say. Just stay strong, keep going, and you are really, people like you really protect the culture and help maintain it for the next generation. She's
thank you.
absolutely wonderful students. If a teacher is known by her students, if you listen to her students, you'll really know Vani's quality. So uh, really, it's really wonderful that you're doing this for, like I said, you're really preserving, the essence of music for the next generation.
I mean, this Guru Shishya Parampara is an unbroken tradition. So I have to, it is a great responsibility as well. It is not just my duty, but it is a responsibility. Just like how my mother and my gurus taught me, I have to carry it on. That is what I'm supposed to do. That's my mission. And I hope I'm able to convey a little bit to my students. Um, and Shaili, thank you so much for giving me this platform. It's so wonderful to see all of you here in the comments section. I haven't gone through all the comments. I will certainly read each and every comment that you have written. Shaili, you are doing a great job, because I mean, I think COVID has been, in one way, a blessing, isn't it? I mean, there is always some good side to it as well. I think if the COVID times hadn't happened, you wouldn't have started these interview sessions, right?
It's
So
amazing.
this is fantastic
I
because
just feel like, when we were growing up, I never really heard these conversations. So I just feel it's so important to keep these conversations going, to expose our next generation to these conversations. So these are not just something that you only hear if you go into music, or, that we are all through this, we get educated, and we're all leaving with our minds expanded, with more knowledge about music than we did before this conversation. And that's really the essence of this whole conversation, to really expand minds and keep learning, because learning is an endless process. When I
yes,
first stepped into yoga, I used to think, oh, this is a lifetime process. Then quickly I figured out it's a many lifetime process. So we're always learning, right? Till the very end, we're always learning. So thank you
no,
so much, Vani. Thank you so much. And truly, it was a great blessing actually to have you here with this conversation. And thank you so much. May your tribe only increase. And just a
thank you.
wonderful, wonderful session.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Shaili.